because Eddie Murphy had left the year before.
Yeah.
And Joe Piscopo had left.
That's probably
and
better.
now there was a feeling that the show might be canceled.
Right. Because Lauren was gone too, right?
And Lauren was gone. It was Dick Ebersol.
Right.
And so there was a real sense, should it be canceled? So Dick, he called it the George Steinbrenner year, where he offered a 1-year contract with a lot more money than it ever been paid a cast member.
Yeah.
To Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
Christopher Guest, Harry Shearer, Martin Short, and Rich Hall.
And did you know those guys? Did you know Chris Guest before?
No.
That was when you met him, huh?
I met Chris. I'd met Billy because my wife was on the TV show Soap with Billy.
Yeah.
But I'd met him briefly, and we had the same manager, Rollins and Jaffe. And Harry, I knew he was friends with Paul Schaefer.
Okay. Yeah.
And I didn't know Rich.
Yeah, so you're all coming into it. You're all unique pros with real comedic personalities. Defined.
Yeah. Well, I remember. I just finished SCTV.
Yeah.
And I really wanted a break from this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I actually still have it, a pro and con list. Should I do SNL or not? Because we had just rented a new house out in LA, and I had a new baby. And I thought, oh my God, this is so much work. And what if I'm no good? And what if I stink?
Yeah.
There's all that stuff. But then I aired. And then Dick Ebersol had asked me to be. And he said, we're also going after Billy Crystal, Christopher Guest, and Harry Shearer. And I said, well, yeah, okay, let me know when you get them. And then he phoned me up and said, we have them. Hey, you do? Wow. Because Spinal Tap was out that summer. And it was, the hottest, hippest, most brilliant thing imagined.
Yeah. Sure. And then you're working with all those guys.
Yeah. It was intimidating.
Was that a great experience for you, though?
As Cher would say, if I could turn back time.
Yeah.
Having a 1-year contract made you feel like, I can get out of this.
Right.
But it also put pressure on you. You felt like you were doing a special a week.
Right.
Like there wasn't this sense of, I'm going to be here for 7 years. Okay, so I'm not in this week. Okay. So you could feel like a star Saturday night, and as a writer on the show too, by the Wednesday read through, if you didn't have anything in that you would be liked, you felt like a biggest failure in the world. And it was, but I think I put a lot of pressure on myself to be good because I wasn't going to be there long.
But it seems like some of the characters that came out of that you did forever.
Yeah. Oh, I'm no fool.
Right.
But
no, I mean,
or people say to me, do you still do your characters from SNL? And I say, sadly, yes. But I went in after the fourth show and tried to quit. I went to Ebersol's office and said, being Canadian and savvy,
yeah,
I said, I haven't cashed any checks. And he went, right. Well, you have a very high Q rating. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
And he said, well, he handled it like a champ. He really did. Because he said, and we were only in October or something. And he said, if you leave now.
Yeah.
Because I had gotten, some early attention on that show. He said, if you leave now, it would be really bad for us, but it would be very bad for you. And you'll also be breaking your contract. But if at Christmas you still want to leave, I'll let you leave. Because he knew that, he just later told me, he knew that by midway point, I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. And maybe I would have figured out to calm down a little bit, not be so worried about the quality of my work. I remember the first show before we went on the air, I said Harry Shearer and I are writing Synchronized Swimming together.
It's a great bit.
Piece that we did. It was a good piece. And I said, Harry, you know how I'm going to do this SNL experience? I'm always going to be holding a piece back, a piece that I really believe in, so that I cannot feel pressured. I can tinker with it for an extra week.
Yeah.
Harry went, oh, that's interesting. Then he got a piece of paper, put it in his typewriter, typed it out, and then put it on his wall. He said, all right, I want to see how that piece is doing each week when you come in here without a fucking idea in your head. I'll ask you, how's that piece you're holding back? The one you want your friends to see. How's that piece? There was no such piece. It never would happen.
But it made sense to you in the moment.
Well, that's how you could do SCTV. You would write for 6 weeks. And Eugene Levy, who is the most prolific writer, one season, the Cinemax season, he first couple of weeks, he just didn't have anything. Now, on SNL, that would be, you wouldn't be in the show for 2 weeks.
Right.
He then, in the last 4 weeks of the writing, made up for the first 2 weeks, and it was the heaviest in every show, as always.
But you were denied that experience of SNL with Lorne at the helm. But you know Lorne from other things. You're friends with Lorne.
Then we did Three Amigos together.
Right. How involved was he?
He was involved. He's one of the 3 writers.
Oh, okay.
On that script.
Yeah.
Randy Newman, Steve, and Lorne. And then, then I had met Lorne originally backstage of Godspell, I think. But
wow.
Then I got to know him very well from Amigos on, mid-'80s on.
You just became friends because you guys were Canadians?
A little bit. But also he's funny and charming and loves to laugh. And we had a lot of mutual friends. And then I started doing SNL.
So when you look back on it, like, because it's sort of like you've done so much work. Everybody knows you. You're an amazing performer. You're hilarious. But the question is like, when you look back on the TV opportunities, or like when you had several shows, do you wish that you had just landed one and stayed on it for your life? Like a talk show? Or
well, when you do things, like I would say my career has been, 80% in failure. And I think those are pretty good odds. That's not bad.
But how do you determine failure, really?
Well, I mean, failure not in the artistic sense, but failure in the sense of you're not renewed.
Right.
Your show gets canceled.
Right.
The thing that and then you go, now what? Oh, maybe Broadway wants me. And then you go there for a while.
Right.
Hey, have you heard? You're hot in the movies again. I am? All right. The movies didn't open. What about TV? And then there's the Palm Springs Follies. I hear they're auditioning. You just keep moving along. And so in retrospect, as I look back at my career, I love that it was so eclectic and had so many things.
Yeah.
I wasn't on Cheers for 14 years.
Right.
But in the first season had I been on the first season of quote unquote Cheers and had been canceled, I would have been bummed.
Right. Well, I mean, I think the amazing testament to you as a entertainer and as an actor and everything else is that clearly your talent is boundless. And, anytime something didn't work out, someone said, well, he's Martin Short. Let's give him this thing.
Well, there was an element of that. I think that it's movies are flukes, and hey, it's 3. Movies are flukes, and if you're in a successful movie, that's fantastic. But it happens not often.
I think that's.
So I made Three Amigos, and that did okay, but at the time was considered a disappointment.
Yeah.
And then I did Inner Space, which was supposed to be. It's Spielberg and Joe Dante and Dennis Quaid and it was supposed to be a massive hit, and no one saw it. And sometimes these films become very popular in the other life. Yeah. And people are amazed that they weren't successful, but they weren't. And so you have so many times at bat.
My friend, I have a friend who loves Clifford.
I love Clifford. Yeah. Clifford is one of the odder ones, but certainly that was,
fun to make.
Well, that was it was hilarious to make.
Yeah.
In Grodin.
Yeah.
Have you ever met Charles Grodin?
I fucking love Grodin.
Oh my God.
So funny, right? I've never met him.
He's a genius.
I've never met him.
Well, he has that. So I remember when we were working together, he'd say, "So I remember it's in my book," and I had to pretend I'd read his book. And I had to go, "Oh yeah, of course."
He's totally out of the racket. I mean, he just left.
Well, I think he, I don't know how old Charles is. At a certain point, I do think the exit is as hip as the entrance.
Yeah, I think that's true. He was so fucking funny. What was it about him? What would you call him? He's a crank? Is he a?
Well, it was put on.
Right.
I remember in Clifford where he he improvised this, where he would say, "Look at me like a human boy," and you go, "Who says that?" Charles does. Grodin would say,
Right.
or Chuck, as everyone calls him, Chuck Grodin.
Yeah. He's done some funny shit, man.
Oh, hilarious! The Heartbreak Kid is, if you haven't seen it for a while, just see it again.
Oh, it's hard to find. Like, it's not on Apple Music. Apple. It's not on iTunes. I wanted to.
Isn't?
No, I wanted to watch it the other night, and I couldn't find. It was not easy to find. I couldn't find it.
Oh, it's so good.
I don't know why. It's so annoying.
Jeannie Berlin and everybody.
Jeannie Berlin. That moment where she goes, "I put cream on." I can't. It was just, that was the moment where he's like,
and his line to her is just so endless.
"Oh my God,
you didn't hear the news," you know.
What? So we're like, after all the, like, I remember Captain Ron. I saw Inner Space. I saw Three Amigos. I saw a lot of these. I like The Big Picture. That was a great movie. But Father of the
Yes, but what fuels the next, choices are, did those films do well at the box office? If they did, get ready for Captain Ron 2. If they didn't, what's Broadway doing?
Sure, but Father of the Bride was the big movie.
Those were big hits, yes.
Yeah. Now, when that happens, are you like, I'm back, we're doing it, we're making money, it's great?
Let's see, the first one, no, then I went to Broadway, did a year on Broadway. And then the second one, well, you're back in that you get films, but those films have to be successful. It just is, it's really about, how successful your last thing is.
Yeah. But do you like doing Broadway?
I did. It was fantastic. I like the discipline of it. I like the idea that you could do opening night and people would come back and say, "Oh, that's so good. You're so good." And you go, "Come back in 4 months when I'm really good."
Yeah.
That level where you're saying lines and you're not thinking about them and you're as free as you can be because you know it so well. It's,
Yeah.
And so this idea that maybe one night in that 8-month run, you might be perfect or close to perfect was exciting to me.
Could you feel it when it happened?
Yes, you could.
Yeah.
Yes, you could.
Yeah. And it's so funny because that's one of those things where only you really know that, in a way.
Yeah, I remember when the New York Times, they stagger the reviewers. In the old days, they came opening night. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And which is more pressure for the actors because you have to be great, not just like, there's no such thing as second night blues because the second night, the New York Post is there.
Right.
But I remember Ben Brantley, writing for the New York Times, was in the audience. They try to keep it from the star, but you find out.
Yeah.
When I was doing the show Fame Becomes Me on Broadway, 2006, and I thought at the end of that show, we had a whole cast. It was a one-man show with a cast, And at the end of that show, I thought, okay, it doesn't really matter what Ben writes because we were just spectacular tonight. Everyone knew he was out there, but no one faltered. There was a higher power going on.
Uh-huh.
And so my thing on that is, like, even with reviewers, if it's not very good and they say you're not very good, you go, they caught me.
Right.
But if it's great and some idiot doesn't get it, that's not your problem.
Right. But it hurts a little.
Well, of course, but it doesn't hurt a lot because it's good. It hurts a lot when it's not very good and you're lost in the role and they caught you.
Right. What did Ben say about that night?
I can't even remember. I think he was positive, but the point was that he was, because I kind of think that I'll read reviews on the road of a show. Like we tried that out in San Francisco and Toronto and Chicago, because I'm part of the writing thing. So I'm trying to figure out what they say.
Yeah.
But once you open, you do have to protect your little emotional filament. You can't be filling your head with, people's comments about you, because you got to do it the next night. It's not finished.
How do you
So
protect
I try to avoid those reviews. Reviews.
You mean you just don't read the shit?
Tend not